Hello, YouTube. I am new here, and for a long time I have felt an internal nudge that this would be a good place for me to come and share about my eating disorder, an eating disorder that I have struggled with since I was 19. I am now 31, and just maybe give a couple tools that have helped me cope with this coping mechanism that I use. So I believe that after everything that I've done to attempt to heal this part of me, which includes going to a treatment center, it includes taking psychedelic substances, it includes fasting, it includes changing to many different types of diets. It includes using a dietitian and a nutritionist, using a 12-step program, reading many, many books, watching countless hours of YouTube videos from spiritual teachers. And I know probably a lot of you who struggle with eating disorders can feel like it's a very futile attempt to make because we slide back into patterns very easily, much like addiction, almost exactly like addiction. So I find that not very many people talk about it. It's very closeted. It's something that just by its very nature we're tend to be ashamed of and afraid of scaring other people away, sort of with these demons and skeletons in our closets. So we tend to hold the truth inside of us, which I know that I do that. And it's not just my truth about bulimia, it's also my truths in that anything that's uncomfortable to express to other human beings. Now I'm getting a lot better at that since I became aware that those two things were sort of comorbidities, or they were dependent on each other. Like the more that I hid my feelings, the more I wanted to eat my feelings, and the more that I used that obsessive compulsive cycle of binging and purging to soothe whatever was going on the inside, whatever storm was raging. And as I've used mindfulness practices and yoga, and I meditate pretty much daily, I teach yoga several classes a week, and I try to do my own practice as much as I can. I've learned a lot about myself, and learned a lot about the way my mind works. And sometimes I feel as though my body and mind and spirit are not on the same page. So my spirit, my heart, my soul wants to heal more than anything, wants to choose life, feels like there's so much magic and mystery and magnificence in this beautiful universe. And my daughters are amazing, and they make me want to choose life every day. They're 6 and 7. But whether it's a physical or a mental thing, there's something in me that screams for food as a way to not feel. And I'm not sure what the deepest underlying root of what I don't want to feel is. I think it's fear of something being wrong with me, being unincluded, being not loved, being unlovable. There's many things, honestly, that, binging and purging helps me not feel. So I want this to be helpful to myself and to the people that are watching. And so some of my takeaways in all of my research have been that you have to keep going. Even if it feels like you slide back to square one, if you're wondering if that's actually ever true, there's a really awesome spiritual teacher named Teal Swan. If you have never heard of her, check out her video. It has relapse in the title. So if you type in Teal Swan relapse, she explains why relapse is not actually ever a real thing. Because what happens is you have point A, and then you circle around like a spiral in your life and you come back to the same issue again. But what happened between point A and point B is growth. So even though you're encountering the same issue, maybe you're coming back to your OCD behaviors around food, if you're like me, the binging and the purging, or just eating uncontrollably or restricting and thinking that going on a juice fast or a diet of some sort. I'm not saying those things don't work. Not at all. I think there are multiple ways to heal, right? And I definitely think that those have their place. So please don't think that, if that's your plan, that it's going to fail. I know that I have set myself up to fail many times by saying I'm going to start this cleanse or this dieta or whatever fancy word that you need for it. But anyways, back to the spiral metaphor. So the place between point A and point B, you grew, you changed. You may be re-encountering the same circumstances again, but there's been some transformation, some learning happening. So then you go back around again and you come back again. And it feels like you slid down the ladder, but in actuality, you're still expanding, you're still learning more. You may be returning to the same coping mechanism, but if you continue to keep going on a path of healing, then perhaps you peeled back another layer of the onion. Perhaps you haven't quite gotten to the point where you're at that core essence and you're ready to release all behaviors and it's not a part of your life anymore. But if you don't stop, if you don't stop trying, then you just that's the only time that you can feel like you're stagnant. Feel like, okay, I give up. And giving up is not a bad thing. In fact, surrender. How many times, if you have an eating disorder or someone who's suffered from one, crying in the middle of the night, crying on the bathroom floor, crying in bed, just saying, God, help me, like send help now. Just take me now or do something now. I can't do this anymore. And once you get that emotion out and you feel it and you cry, for me, I can't speak for anyone else, but I have heard that I'm not the only one that experiences this phenomenon. I feel a huge, immense sense of peace wash over me when I allow myself to express my frustration, my despair, my hopelessness, and hand it over to the hands of something greater than myself, the powers that be, which include my soul. My soul is always with me, always watching over me. Then all of a sudden I get this peaceful feeling like, okay, my strength has been renewed. Tomorrow will come with a fresh sunrise, and I'll bathe myself, or I'll have my coffee, and I'll write in my journal, and I'll read a book, and I'll do something that I love. And I'll remember that just because I have a struggle in my life with something that I haven't found the answer to yet does not mean that I don't want to live. And I want to tell you this, I want to impart this to you, that every single time you choose life, even if it's a small baby step towards life, even what an improvement is. what joy feels like, and letting in a little bit of light, a little bit of joy, a smile, singing a song, watching a movie, just laying in bed and letting peaceful breaths wash over you. Enjoying and fully being with a meal or a cup of tea or a conversation with someone. Like, there's so many beautiful things to be experienced down here. And if you have this particular darkness that you're dealing with, don't let it convince you that there is no light. There is light. There is light for all of us, regardless of the things we struggle with. And I found that I'm the best therapist that I've ever met for myself. My hand on a page, screaming, singing, dancing, serving others, expressing myself creatively, through things like videos and social media posts and artwork and my journals that I keep for myself, but that, I look back and I re-inspire myself by reading some of the things that I wrote, this year or last year. I put things around me all the time, words and pictures and things that remind me of who I really am, because I'm not this disease. I'm not. It's something that when I was very vulnerable and experienced a very rough patch in my life, I allowed to become part of me, and it's taken up, it's inhabited my space for quite a while, and it's not gonna leave so easily. It's gonna take time and conscientious effort and a soft and gentle approach, honestly. Tough love does not work for this heart and soul. And something that I think is true about almost everyone that I've met, whether they're a binge eater or an anorexic or a bulimic, sometimes my neck just looks so like it's stressed out, and it is. And I break out here because it's all of this that comes out when we binge and purge. Sorry, I know it's brutal to talk about, but it's my truth, and I'm getting better. I am healing every single day. I'm becoming more me. My light is on, and it goes out less often. But just having a conversation with my own inner shadow, the darkness, the voice that drives me to engage in the obsessive compulsive behavior, and saying, I know you're there. I see you. What do you want? What do you need from me truly? How can I help you heal? And then I imagine like wrapping that energy in light, lifting and shifting it, loving it, and sending it on its way, like back to the masters, back to Jesus or Buddha or the goddesses. Tara is the goddess, the bodhisattva in the Buddhist tradition. And there's so many people praying for you. I pray for you. I feel so connected to women, especially, who have this, because we're sensitive beings. We are sensitive creatures, and we misunderstood that sensitivity, and we needed to cope with it, especially if we were hurt and we didn't have healthy mirrors and ways of coping. We probably picked up some behaviors, and then it was hard to put them down, even though we matured past the point of wanting to use those mechanisms. And I'm one of those people, and that's okay with me. It's a daily joy for me now to love myself no matter what, even with this this darkness. We have to love the darkness. And, there's a couple different quotes I like about that. One is, you can't have branches that reach up to heaven unless your roots reach down to hell. That's by Carl Jung. And the other one is, the brightest lights have seen the darkest shadows, or something along those lines. And I believe that to be true. I believe that we are healers. We are rainbow love warriors. We are so strong because we wake up every single day and we try again. And so no matter where you are in your journey, even if you're not to the place of peeling back many layers, maybe you're just beginning and you're with the first layer and you're like, how am I gonna do this? This is so hard already, right? It's hard to start to feel. Maybe you've decided to lay down a substance. I mean, when I laid down alcohol, I realized that I had a lot more healing to do than just getting sober. And all my issues really came to the surface. And food became a very almost necessary self-medication, right? But it's really a self-poisoning if you think about it. Just stopped poisoning myself with alcohol and started poisoning myself with food. But I never wanted to take synthetic pharmaceutical drugs. I did a little bit in my journey, and I really felt that was not for me, and that was a lesson in trusting my intuition, honestly, because I took them for a while, but it was not in accordance with my heart. And so I know that's a lot of what the healing journey is about, is learning to trust the voice inside of you, and learning that, your soul knows what to do to heal, and that it's not linear, and it's not going to look like what people think it should look like, and it's going to be messy, and there are going to be a lot of falling down and failures. You can't just go to treatment for 6 weeks and be fixed. I have a friend that went for several years, but she says it's still a day-by-day thing. I don't know anyone who doesn't say that it's still something that they deal with, body image and food, and how all things are connected, and our history and our inner child healing and our emotions and our relationships and sex. It's all potentially triggering, but also amazing, hard, holy human work, And so as the journey to self-awareness begins, the journey to healing begins, the journey to more self-love, more self-confidence, more self-acceptance. And in that way, we can kind of be thankful that it is a process. It is an integration. It takes time to remember who you are. It takes time to find out who you want to be, with everything that's happened. And it takes time to release the behaviors. And I think that's the hardest piece for me, because I just want to be done hurting myself. But I also have to recognize the growth and the change and the progress that I've made, even if I can't count days on my hand right now that I have not participated in bulimic activity. But I can say that I see a transformation in myself. I see myself more hopeful. I see myself more strong. I see myself more compassionate, more empathetic, more kind, more honest, more raw, more real. And so, in a way, I bow to the darkness, and I say, thank you for being such a great teacher for me. Thank you for humbling me. Thank you for making me wish for death so I could realize how much I appreciate my life. Thank you for taking me to the depths of the darkness so that I can really let a tremendous amount of light flow through my being. And I don't expect that that's over, but I do expect that with this new wisdom, that it gets, I don't want to say it gets easier, because I don't think that that's true. But I do think that when I'm in my center and I trust myself, I can withstand the storms in a much more surfer-like way. Even if the storms are something that I'm generating. It's like, oh, I gotta surf this wave, and then I gotta bounce back, and I gotta not blame myself, and I gotta ask myself, what would a person who loved themselves do next? Okay? That's another Teal Swanism. Thank you, Teal Swan, for existing. You've taught me a lot about shadow work, shit that I did not necessarily want to know, but it's really helped me in many ways. And I have so many spiritual teachers that's for another video, because there's just so many. There's so many helpers out there, and that's what I want to tell you too. And I want to really emphasize that you might not be able to hear anyone praying for you. You might feel like you're alone, but trust me, there are others I know like me who are praying for you. And then all of your angels and guides are surrounding you all the time. And you can see them just as non-physical beings of light that are cheering for you, that are shining light on the path, that are helping you. And your inner being is leading that parade. Your inner being is the strongest of all and knows you the best. And it's going to be a really amazing journey. And that's why we came down here. So when we take it from the soul perspective and we look at everything and see through those lenses, we can see that we are eternal, we are timeless. And if we die, if we decide, oh, I'm going to end this, I can't take it anymore, the pain is too great, I just want to go, and then we end it, I believe that we still have to atone at some point. And I'm not saying like pay for it or go to hell or anything like that. I just believe that we die at the level of consciousness that we've allowed ourselves to expand to, like the beliefs and those types of things. So when we come back as a soul, we maybe have to learn the same lessons. If we don't learn it in this lifetime, we might come back again and be a bulimic again, or be an anorexic again, or be a binge eating, or orthorexia, or there's a lot of them. Most of us are composite of several. So just know that your efforts to heal in this lifetime matter. You are getting better regardless of what anybody says. If you're watching this video, I can guarantee you're on a path to get better. Otherwise, you wouldn't type in healing, right? So you're calling it in. It's going to happen. On some level, it's already done. When you ask, it is given. It is vibrationally created, and it's just up to you to line up with that. And it's going to happen, whether it's today, now, tomorrow, but you're going to come in and out of it. You're going to kind of go away from the truth, and then you're going to come back to the light, and then you're going to do this dance between you and your soul, and just make it part of the dance. Make it all part of the dance. Don't wear the weight of your mistakes or your relapses too heavy on your shoulders. Let that shit go, okay? Because holding on to it and blaming yourself and feeling guilty and feeling like you're a bad person because of this is not going to be helpful to you. And you're not bad. You're not bad or wrong. Maybe you chose to be a person with an eating disorder because your story is going to heal millions. How do you not know that yet? So keep that in mind. Keep hope alive and know that you matter. You're loved beyond measure. I can tell you that with absolute certainty. Okay? There's nothing wrong with you. There's never been anything wrong with you. It's just programming. And as you begin to or continue to heal and love yourself, that programming will get less loud, and this new voice of love will get louder, and you'll be able to hear it even in your darkest, most desperate moments, and you'll feel peace, even if you're in the middle of a shit show, right? You can still take a deep breath and find peace, even for a split second, and that can redirect your energy, reset your vibration, and let you feel better. So I just know that you are going to have an amazing journey. It's not going to be easy, but there will be a lot of fun, magical moments. And this is never-ending stuff. So it's not like we're going to get to a point of the end and call it good. We're going to keep expanding. We're going to keep growing. And it's a really cool time to be alive on planet Earth right now. Okay? So just be grateful as much as you can and stay in this game. The world needs you. It needs you healed, and it needs you on your journey. So thank you for listening. I love you. Please comment if you have any questions. I don't really know how to do this YouTube thing. I've been watching for forever, everybody else, and listening for forever, and I love this format. I love that there's so much to learn here and so much free information and so much love. So I'm really grateful, and I want to just give back a little bit because it's helped me tremendously on my journey. So I hope you found this video to be helpful to you and to give you some hope and some inspiration, and that's what I'm here for. It's the name of the game. So lots of love, Rainbow Love Warriors.